How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about one of the few reruns we're going to be getting in the next half of the patch. There's really not a lot going on right now in version 2.6, if I am not wrong. While we are waiting for both Sunday and Tingyun, we have to talk about our reruns that we're going to be getting, which is also Acheron and Aventurine. But today is going to be specifically about Acheron, which I feel like Acheron's in a really weird spot. And this is because a lot of people seem to talk about Acheron in a more negative light for a very long time, since a lot of the other teams have been getting a bunch of power when it comes to break, when it comes to follow-up, and when it comes to all other sorts of teams. Right now, it makes 100% sense to look at break and follow-up to be some of the better teams in the game, 1000%. These teams are pretty much fine-tuned to a T when it comes to all different aspects of their teams. When it comes to Fei Xiao, she has the most synergistic team in the game, without a doubt. Everything that happens in the follow-up team builds each other up and gives each other some crazy value when you see all the players put together, like putting somebody like Fei Xiao together, Topaz together, Robin together, and also Aventurine together. You get to see how absurd this team actually gets as time goes by. And the same thing goes for the break team as well. Buhil, Firefly, and also Rappa. These characters have been absolutely amazing. And with HMC, Ruame, and also Linksha, there's just been a lot of content surrounding break. There's been a lot of content surrounding follow-up. And with all of the characters coming out, all the premium characters for these teams coming out and buffing up the archetype even more, makes a lot of sense why people are looking at Acheron in a less stronger light. But today's video, we're going to talk about, is Acheron still worth it? And then we're going to make an Aventurine video later on. But today's is about Acheron specifically. And Acheron right now is still able to clear content easily in every single type of mode. Right now with Acheron, she's still able to clear MOC, she's still able to clear Perfection, and she can also do Apocalyptic Shadow. With Acheron specifically, she has been getting buffs as time has gone by. She still currently keeps the same relic set for the most part when it comes to the Pioneer of Dead Waters, because it gives her the crit rate and crit damage buff, and also gives her the damage dealt buff with the Izumo if you're going to be using that, because that gives her crit rate and attack, which she's going to be able to do some crazy nukes with. And then not only that, when looking at Acheron, she has been getting some buffs since her release as well, with Jiao Shou being part of the game now that wasn't there beforehand on her release. And this is basically an Acheron battery at this point. Now, there are a couple of things we need to talk about when it comes to Acheron right now versus when she released. When she released, she was still a really strong character, and she was by far the best character in the game, without a doubt, which 100% of people would understand when looking at how Acheron's performance was beforehand. But that was before we got Fei Xiao. That was also before we ended up getting break characters like Firefly and also Rappa. But looking at the teams at the current moment, break and follow up, of course, are at the very top, leaving Acheron to be slid down in the bottom in terms of power. But realistically, Acheron has something that a lot of these characters right now in the game don't have. Fei Xiao has it currently in the game. A lot of the break characters have it in the game as well. But Acheron has a lot of future investment potential that you can look forward to in the future. And this could go a certain amount of ways. One way is character-wise. Because Acheron works on / dream stacks instead of her energy to do her ultimate, this means any character that's nihility, any character that can do a debuff, is essentially a new character for Acheron to work with, which is going to help her out with her performance in the future as long as Starro is alive. Not a lot of characters in the game at the current moment. Let's say, for an example, Blade or Jing Yuan or Dr. Ratio. Well, let's not use Dr. Ratio because he's a part of the follow-up team, and follow-up team is absolutely god tier right now. But let's say something like Cele. A lot of these characters, just because a new character comes out that's part of a certain path, or that's part of a section of giving a debuff, they're not going to get buffed inherently, or not a big buff inherently. Acheron, whenever there's a new debuffer, when there's a new nihility character, that's a new teammate, that's a potential best in slot teammate for Acheron, and that helps you build out the team if you haven't already had the teammates. We do have some low budget options for Acheron, like having Pella and like having other characters like Wenaifen being put on the team. Then you can maybe move up a bit, use Silver Wolf, and then there's other options like Dot Karan with Kafka and Black Swan. And then of course we know Jiao Shou and Black Swan are like some of the best pairings to put up with Acheron. Same thing goes for their Aventurine with his debuff capability, with his light cone, or with his ult by itself, is able to help out someone like Acheron. Acheron is just a really good investment when it comes to a character that is able to gain power as time goes. And as we've been talking about these characters that have been coming out, like someone like Jiao, who is an absolute battery for Acheron, who helps with ultimate damage, is a pretty big buff to Acheron's team. There's also other ways to buff up Acheron when she gets her reruns. Let's say Acheron ends up getting a rerun, which she is getting right now. You already have her. You can go the route of horizontal investing into her, which is grabbing her light cone. Getting her light cone is a pretty big buff because it is going to give an extra debuff to the stack meter, which is going to help you get those additional ultimates in and give you a lot extra damage when it comes to the extra crit, when it comes to the extra damage when they're inflicted with Mirage Fizzle, and extra damage dealt when you're using your ultimate. Being able to do so is a very strong buff towards Acheron. It's going to allow her to do some absolutely crazy stuff. Now, realistically, I know a lot of people hold her E2 in like crazy contention with like, this is why she's only good, or the only reason she's good is because she has E2. I do realistically think that having E2, you don't need to pull for this. This is kind of overkill for what she's able to do right now in the game already. I do think horizontally investing in getting her light cone is pretty much the best thing you can do when she gets her reruns if you aren't going to be going for it. Good Night Sleep Well S5 is something that a lot of people would like to run on Acheron if they don't want to pull for a light cone. But if you still do enjoy Acheron, you really like the character, and you've built her teammates or you've summoned for her teammates as time has gone by, it would be a pretty good idea to go for the light cone right now. So looking at Acheron, you can go for characters, you can go for her light cone, horizontally investing into her. She's just the overall really great character when it comes to reruns, and someone that's going to hold a lot of value for a long time now. Now, of course, there's a couple of things we do need to talk about when it comes to the meta overall with a lot of these characters coming out with Acheron, which is the next character is Acheron. So that's a pretty good sustain that we're going to talk about later in the future. And then not only that, we also have Sunday and we also have Ting Yun. So Sunday and Ting Yun are going to be some pretty crazy hitters, especially with them being both Nihility and also Harmony, which we know these paths in the game are absolutely insane, just because Harmony, most of the best characters in the game when it comes to Robin, when it comes to Ruame, these characters are Harmony, and we know that these characters have turned the game upside down into their favor whenever they came out and are still some of the craziest characters in the game right now. So Sunday has potential to be one of the greatest characters we've seen for a good minute. And then same thing goes for Ting Yun. We don't know what Ting Yun's going to do. We don't know what Sunday's going to do, but seeing that they're both Nihility and also Harmony means that they could bring a lot of value. So we're going to have to wait and see. But the good thing is that when Acheron comes out, when Acheron comes out, we're going to be able to have the stream. We're going to see what Sunday and Ting Yun do, and we're also going to have Drip Market. So there's a lot of information that we're going to have available to us when Acheron and Acheron come out. So realistically, my say so on is Acheron worth it? I think she's absolutely worth it when it comes to the investment potential that she has, that you could potentially work with her for. But I do think, although she is worth it, I do think you should wait when it comes to pulling on Acheron. Wait for the streams to see what Ting Yun and Sunday do, see if they're absolutely busted or not. If you like their kits, then skip them for those characters. If you don't need Acheron, then skip them for Sunday and Ting Yun. If you want Acheron and Sunday and Ting Yun, they don't look as appealing, then go just go for Acheron, easy. And then lastly, there also is, of course, the 3.0 patch that's going to be coming out very soon, which is probably going to bring a brand new meta, as a lot of these version updates do. And seeing what Sunday and Ting Yun might have, we might see some glimpses at the future meta, but we'll have to wait and see how that's going to work out. But realistically, I do think Acheron is just overall a really great character when it comes to most aspects in the game. I just don't see why her potential or why her value has been trying to diminish, even though yes, follow-up and break have been absolutely monumental in the amount of support they're getting. This doesn't mean that Acheron won't get built up as well, and that she's not performing as greatly as they are as well. So right now, I do think Acheron is still a well invested pull, and definitely can be really good in the future as well. But we'll have to wait and see how the game shapes out when it comes to Ting Yun and Sunday, and also the 3.0 patch as well. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end video. That's pretty much it when it comes to Acheron, and we're going to be talking about Acheron in the next video. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.